We're recording.
What's up, Fulton Mortgage? Dave Savage here. I've got as my, I don't know, I guess it's an interview, but as our special guest, John Downs. What's up, John?
How are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. I am looking forward to this call. It's going to be a replay of something you and I did, I don't know, might have been 2 years ago when you started using Mortgage Coach. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah. Actually, I can't believe it's been 2 years. I just looked the other day. I think I'm up to 700 total cost analysis already. So pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I am too. I also have Brian Maring, your customer success manager at Fulton. So I'm going to kick off the first 15 minutes of this conversation interviewing John around how to adopt and implement Mortgage Coach as a team leader. While we have some people on this call live, if you're on it live and you want to interact with us in chat, feel free. If you're listening to the recording, you can reach out to Brian. Brian, what's the best way for people to communicate with you, after they're listening to the recording of this?
Real easy, Dave. Brian at Mortgage Coach, Brian with a Y, B-R-Y-A-N, the one and only Brian at Mortgage Coach.
Beautiful. Brian with a Y. Also in chat, if you're watching this live, I've given you 3 links. One, to an article that was a debrief on an interview I did with John about 2 months after he adopted Mortgage Coach. And it was his playbook. So you could hear fresh, within the first 60 days of adopting it, using it, you can hear that. And it's going to be a bit of there'll probably be a lot of redundant information in it, but I recommend you check it out if you want to crush it and you want to be efficient. And then there's another link to another interview where it was his success story 45 days later. And to me, what makes that powerful is it really validates that, you can be generating more loans, getting more referrals from realtors within 30 to 40 days. So John, let's kick it off. Fulton has rolled out Mortgage Coach. Every loan officer at Fulton has Mortgage Coach. How do you start the advice talking to your peers that have teams around adopting Mortgage Coach?
Well, the easiest one is to just understand that they're right out of the gate probably not going to like it. And so to give you a little bit of background, I signed up with Mortgage Coach 3 times and canceled 3 times. So I think that the reason that's really important is it's almost like when I was at Caliber and we had all this, our own proprietary LOA system. And then I went and I started using Encompass. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I just had to keep telling myself, just remember Mortgage Coach. It gets easier, better. And then once you get used to it, it's all wonderful and awesome, right? So anything that's new, that's changed is going to be hard. And the first feeling is, I like the way I used to do it before. Why do I have to do this? So once you understand and you embrace that, and then you openly say, look, this is exactly how you're going to feel, but let's all commit to doing every single one of our estimates over the next, and then pick a number, 10 or 20 this week. How about we kick it off on Monday and we all reconvene Friday, and every quote we do all week, we just grind through Mortgage Coach and find out the best way to make it work. And then what you'll find is once you get through that grind period, light bulbs will start clicking in everybody's, and they'll be like, whoa, this is awesome. And they'll start seeing different uses for it. So I think the step 1 is just understand it's different, it's change. It's going to be hard for everyone, but once you get through the learning curve, you'll really see all the benefits.
Beautiful. So change is hard, embrace the grind. Now, you had a why, and going from memory, I think it was multiple people you had heard that used it, that you respected. But let's just say, first of all, everybody at Fulton, they've heard Mortgage Coach is great from someone. Mm-hmm. But anything intentionally that people could do to accelerate their why? Because if they get a personal why, they're going to get through the pain of change. Any thoughts come to mind?
So when you say frame that just a little deeper for me. So for me, just to make sure I understand it right, and sorry, my webcam died, so I'm on my iPad.
Don't worry about
holding it in the air, but I'm getting like an arm workout, which is good. I was in a mastermind event with Building Champions. I was in their master's coaching group. I was the only East Coast guy, and sitting around a table were many people that ran $300 million branches. One guy, Todd Bookspan, he did 1,200 units a year. Josh Metal, I've got the biggest man crush in the universe on that guy. He's just a stud. Everything he does and just how he thinks of the business. His whole branch and operation used Mortgage Coach. So I remember just being on the plane flying home saying, if all of these super top producers are doing it, I should be doing it. Why am I fighting it? And that's when I just went back, I signed up, and then I made the commitment and we did it. So my why was just more looking at all the other people that were out there. My new why is, what I've noticed is I generally get stuck when I'm trying to figure out how to put a proposal together for someone. What I found is if I just start in Mortgage Coach and I can visually see everything that I want to explain, I can figure out how to send a menu of quotes to someone faster. I do not need to retype the same paragraphs over and over and over again explaining it, because the charts do it for me. And I also accomplished the goal of making a somewhat impersonal transaction now personal through the videos that you can embed. So, I think my why's evolved. Before, it was all ego and all these awesome loan officers doing 3, 4, 5 times more business than I am. They're doing it. Why am I not? But now I actually see the pickup from all the time savings that I have by using it.
So I just want to review. I pulled up this article. Remember, this is just me writing a summary of takeaways and action items from an interview with John. But, it started with get clear on your why. And John was super clear on his why. Communicate your why with your team. We're going to come back to that in a minute, John, because you had a way that you did that. You notice he said he committed to some reps. I would recommend to everybody, it's like a minimum of 10, really 20 TCAs in as fast a period of time as you possibly can. Accountability, part of John's accountability strategy was he told his referral partners, I'm going to do this. And then, of course, you got to measure and share your results. That was the other thing. John, he had success. He shared it with me. We did a call. At the time, we were rolling out Mortgage Coach to Caliber. He was sharing his success to other Caliber leaders because they wanted to drive adoption. So let's go back to this one right here, sharing your why with your team. How did you do that? And anybody who's on this call that has a question on this topic, put it down below, and I'll ask John right now. But John, how did you share your why with your team?
Well, so they all know I was a nut for coaching, and I'm an efficiency nut, and I always want to up-level the client experience to increase our capture rate. I already have, still do, and had back then a very, very, very high capture rate in the industry. If you talk to me and you let me run your credit, 8 out of 10 of you will use me for your final mortgage. And so the why was more just the transformation that was happening with the instant information that everyone is able to give today. And in DC, I would just get all these random quotes from borrowers that would say, oh, I talked to so-and-so, this is what they sent me. And it was 2 sentences with like a snip of an Excel spreadsheet. And I just held that up in a meeting and I said, this is not customer service. There is nothing that is going to make that client feel compelled to use that loan officer other than the rate and points they provided in that little snip. So I felt by going heavy on the value add, the charts, the graphs, the ability to do the live presentations. Once we wound up getting really good, and just for all of you out there, I can do a TCA now and show 4 options in probably 3 minutes. And what I do sometimes is I might just go in, do 1 column really quickly, go ahead and generate the presentation, email the person the link, say, hey, open that right up. I'm going to do the other 3 options. So while they're on the phone, I even do the other options and build it. And then we have really good dialogue and they're amazed. They're like, whoa, I can see everything changing. So again, for me, it was everyone in today's space, we're all just rates and points, and we have to find a way to make it personal. And then we also have to find a way of up-leveling the education and experience so that they always come back to you when they find, because we all know someone's going to undercut every loan officer out there. We're all dealing with about the same pool of profit. And if whatever you quote, if they do shop, every other lender is going to try and take out your legs, and they can, and they will. But this presentation brings everybody back to you, or it makes them just say, I don't want to talk to anybody else because I already learned everything I need to learn. Why talk to anyone else? So it will discourage shopping, or it will bring them back to you. So that's why, again, for me, it was just a play of increasing conversion in the ever-changing environment.
And I think, going from the multiple interviews I've done with you since, this is a quote I posted on LinkedIn a few days ago. Service is not doing what's required of us. Service is doing more than what's required. And so I think, you have to buy into that. That good is the enemy of great. And you do have to live in this world where I want to be great. I want to deliver the best possible service I can possibly deliver to a family. That's a team standard I want to drive. Also, I just did a recent interview with Amber Kavarik. Just huge producer in the Phoenix, Arizona market. I would really encourage you guys to check this out because she said some things in this interview, and then I just posted this article today. But I got a number of takeaways. I'm always learning. I'm always interviewing people, always learning. And she did this whole conversation where like 85% of the population, they want good service. Yeah, there is a percentage that want the absolute best price, and by the way, there's a percent in this interview, she talked about 5% that want to pay more. Like they want to pay more for the service. That's part of how, status for them, premium. So there's people that want to pay a higher price. There's 15% that absolutely want the lowest cost. They'll spend a tremendous amount of time doing it themselves. And then there's the 85%ers, that people in the middle. And so I think when you think of Mortgage Coach, first of all, watch this interview. It's one of the best interviews I've ever done. I just put this debrief. You can also read this. It's on my LinkedIn article. But you got to buy into that. Now, one more point before we bring Brian in, and we're going to show everybody. Well, we're gonna do this. If there's a lot of newbies on the call, we're going to show you how to create your first CCA. If you've done 10, 20, and you just want to do a better job with your team, we're going to answer those questions. Let's talk about how you integrated your realtors into your accountability partners. Because, we've covered your why, we've covered your reps, we've covered how do you communicate with your team. How and when do you communicate with your outside team?
So two parts. Figure out the easiest way to explain it. When I first got the program, I wound up doing presentations on listings of my real estate agents. And then I just sent them an email and said, hey, can you do me a big favor? I think the subject line said, can you do me a favor researching this system, knowing they were going to love it. And I said, can you just click on this link? It's a sort of a new software out there that some people are using. And I'm really thinking about using it. I want to get your take on it. Do you think this is like good and descriptive and whatever? So of course, when they looked at it, and it was a video of me that popped up, and I went through and I explained everything. And then I mentioned their property address. The agent was already bought in. They were like, holy smokes, this is so cool. And then it led to different conversations. Can we use this for open houses? So I'll take a stop there, because then it wound up being like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and use this for now on all your clients. So then after someone was pre-approved, I then sent a TCA to everybody, to the agents, saying, oh, by the way, we just finished up a pre-approval for these people. They're thinking of like one of these couple different options. Like, let's say someone is looking at 5% down conforming, and you're showing them a monthly and a no PMI as an example. And then I would say, and I'm going to go ahead and update this every 2 weeks so that they have fresh rates. So it became more of this, the agent was seeing everything that we were doing. The agent could jump in and actually see what their max qualifications were. The agent would always then start tweaking their conversation and say, hey, did you get that? They call it a digital mortgage tool, is what a lot of my people call it. Hey, did you get that digital mortgage thing from John? I need to coin that better. But
that's fine.
Yeah, but that's kind of what it was. So now the agents look for it. They actually frame the presentation ahead of the handoff to me. Like, hey, here's 3 lenders that I deal with, but I highly recommend that you give John a call, because he actually has this really cool digital mortgage presentation that goes into showing you like all kinds of stuff. All my clients love it. Definitely make sure you check have a conversation with him. So again, that became a differentiator. It was, hey, these are 3 really good lenders that are really good at closing loans on time. They all have pretty good rates. It was that plus added to, oh, by the way, definitely check with John because he's got this really cool tool that the other guys don't have. And for Fulton, I mean, I've got some friends over at Fulton, my boy Pat Casey, David Baca. So there's not a lot of people in our market using it. It's still not a hugely dense service in the DC Baltimore area. So take advantage of that. You're going to be very unique because when your agents see it, they might say, oh, I've seen it once before, but they don't know your framing of it, your pitch of it. A lot of loan officers use it. They don't use video, so they can see your video. A lot of loan officers don't use it for open houses. A lot of loan officers are not proactively taking all those listings that you see your agents post on Facebook and then throwing a TCA in the comments of that Facebook article, like, oh, hey, by the way, and if you're interested in knowing what the numbers are on XYZ property that they're holding open this weekend, feel free to click here and find out more about the financing options, right? So there's so many things that you can do with it that you'll just blow the socks off your agent partners.
All right, so a couple things, guys. I just want to remind you, there's 2 different videos. There's the one where I interviewed him specifically on what were your steps to fast tracking? There's a success story interview. Whenever I do these mortgage strategy success story interviews, I put links to the actual TCAs so you can actually see one of John's TCAs. Notice that he's added a video. I think we've given you the how. I think at this point, if you're on this call, if you're watching this video, you've either got a big Mortgage Coach Y or you have a little Mortgage Coach Y. Before I bring in Brian and have Brian take over on the rest of the call, which is going to be really how-to, I guess I want to talk about the time you invested personally to learn to do it and any advice you'd have to another team leader. And I'm going to be jumping in a minute. So Brian, if you could get ready to take over from here. And John, Pat Casey said, thank you for doing this. On behalf of Mortgage Coach, thank you for doing this, bro. So
yeah, no problem.
I do want you to know I'm super grateful. But if you could answer that, would be great.
Yeah. So generally speaking, I'm really pretty good with technology. So I can adopt things fast. What I would say in teaching a lot of other loan officers how to use the platform, for me, the efficiencies would be setting up templates. For instance, I have one that's just a generic fee template, 30-year fixed, and it sort of will populate a sample sale price that is typical for me, a sample down payment that's typical, a rate that's typical. It'll add in all the prepaid. So just like everything else that you have, there are templates that you can establish. Another thing that I actually did, and we use this a ton, is I actually would label different presentations that I use somewhat systematically. So in DC, it might be, I would label it FTHB in the first name. And the last name, it would be dash 300K condo. Okay, and then I would actually make a full TCA, and it would be a 3% down home ready, a 5% down no PMI, a 10% down financed MI, and then maybe the 4th column will be like FHA, which no one can get in DC. So that might just be a standard template that I create. So now I'm on the phone with a buyer right now, and he says, or she, hey, I'm looking for a condo for 300 grand. I go into Mortgage Coach, I hit new template, I hit view all to find my search. I put FTHB in the first name, hit view all or search, and then I find the one that I want. I click on it. You can either copy the same one, you can copy it as a new client, existing client. The reason I'm giving you all these tips so you can go back and watch it is it saved us a tremendous amount of time and enabled us to go ahead and actually have conversations on the fly, meaning I'm on the phone with a new lead, I can send this in 2 minutes. And all I would do is change the first name and last name, generate the presentation, email them the link. And then while I'm talking to them, maybe I'm going to OB, looking at rates, changing some things around, changing the condo fee, changing the sale price, excluding FHA, whatever I'm going to do. But think of setting up templates in the sense of raw presentations, multiple options. So you can have templates of the individual scenario, or you can have templates of the entire scenario. That saved us a tremendous amount of time. But other than that, it's grinding it out. It's doing it. I just started using it for a bunch of refinances, and I'm just blown away like how I didn't do this or why I didn't have this tool back, in 2016 when we were doing all those refis, because it really does. It illustrates break evens really easily on the phone, where you can change the analysis of savings over a certain period. And then you can look at their move date. Oh, you're going to be in the house 7 years. Well, if you do this refinance is a no cost, you're going to save 17,000. But if you actually buy the rate down a little bit, you'll save 20. Is it worth the $3,000? Yes or no? Again, all that conversation that pops up through those charts. So I'm excited for you guys. Glad to hear that you're trying out the program and you're buying into it, because you really are going to see over time how much value it truly gives you.
Perfect there. Thanks so much there, John. As Dave mentioned, now's the opportunity to ask any questions of John. You've got somebody that's working right along in the trenches with you, utilizing Mortgage Coach. So if you have any questions, John's going to be with us. I mean, he's graciously agreed to. He's got about 5 more minutes on the call. I want to be respectful of his time. So if you have any questions of him, please go ahead and utilize the Q area or the chat area.
Hey, Brian, I want to say something before I got to jump. So remember, guys, questions in the areas that Brian just told you. Also, if you're watching the recording of these, we want your questions. We want to help you adopt Mortgage Coach. And I hope the belief that you have is that not only will it improve your production, you close more loans, it will create clients for life. Like when you engage with a client in a digital platform like this, it's going to get more referrals. It's going to improve your recapture on that customer. And then here's the other thing. It's going to save you more time. You just need to get over the pain of change. And for John, he's pretty effective with technology. So he had like a week of pain of change. I want everybody on this call, it might be 2 weeks. But if there was something that all you had to do is go through a couple weeks of pain of change, maybe a month of pain of change, but then it actually made you more money and you actually saved you more time and made your job more fulfilling and more fun, is it worth a month's worth of pain and change? So just be intentional about that change management. Understand, that it's got us. The first one's going to suck for sure. The question is, do the first 7 suck, or is it the first 20? But once you get through that pain of change, you will make more money, have more fun, and save more time. Brian, I'll let you guys rock it out.
Thanks, Dave. John, I'm trying to, as a former originator, and I'm picturing myself being in a chair sitting at Fulton, and I've got a team. Is there any advice that you would give, somebody that has a team, as to perhaps, who's going to take the ball at certain points of time utilizing Mortgage Coach? Anything about, how the team is utilizing Mortgage Coach at different points?
Oh, yeah. Good question, because I just figured this out like a week ago. So I've been working on that for 2 years. I'm on the road a lot more now, trying to, realtor recruitment and all that kind of stuff, right? So trying to get out of the office more. What I found the easiest for me is, as the lead guy, so let's say the person doing the goals discussion, the second I get off a call, I pick up my little iPhone and I just use that voice recorder, and I'll do a complete voice memo, and it'll just be a quick little dump about the person. Like, okay, they're looking for whatever, 800,000. They want to see 5, 10, 20% down. I'm thinking of doing a combo lien on the first, use Fairfax on the second, make the second one like a 75-15 Fannie, and then do like an 80-10-10 US Bank, and whatever, cut this much. So, and at the end of that, it's either send it directly to them and then we have some pre-planned scripts that I want to talk about, give them the difference between single and combo liens, touch on the tax savings, and maybe throw an ARM in there and have an ARM discussion. So I will end with, make sure you talk about X, Y, and Z, send it directly to them. I told them you'll be sending, or just put it in my inbox. On my team, we highlight all the same things. We highlight rate, payment, cash to close. We go into the closing costs and we highlight any points or credits that are there. We highlight the mortgage insurance monthly and the payment breakdown. So that, there are just general setup things that we do that my team does. So my idea is, it freed me up. Now, a risk to that is, half the time when I create a Mortgage Coach, when I think I want to show certain things, I end up showing completely different things. So my team, when I say I just figured it out, they just finally realized, just because John says he wants these products, what he really means is show them variations of that, find what's best. If one looks stupid, don't put it on there, and maybe show them something else. So it's, but that to me, after just voice memo, email to team produces and either sends the email or puts it in my inbox to send, was sort of the best way of using it.
Perfect. I appreciate that, because oftentimes, who's got the ball, who's got this responsibility. I like that you added that there's certain, say, things that you do on every presentation, like the highlighting key details, and then you leave it up to them to determine, what are going to be the best conversation pieces within that presentation, or if you feel like you've got to take it and handle the, with the customer from that point forward.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll tell you where Mortgage Coach got easy. I spoke in front of Apex Home Loans, Craig Schrent, his team late last week. It was a Tim Brahim event, and they were all trying to increase sales for Mortgage Coach adoption in his branch. And a lot of light bulbs went off when I said to people, the idea behind Mortgage Coach is to tell a story, and that if you can kind of think of telling a story with the options that you're presenting. I'll give you an example. I do a lot of post-close HELOCs. So if someone calls me and they say they want to put 10% down, I do, in many cases, a 20% down acquisition, and a 3 weeks post-closing, they'll take a 20% second from Tower and effectively do a no money down loan, right? You get a really smoking awesome Wells Fargo first and a big second. So that story might be, I know you want to put 10% down. So I showed you column 1 is a 10% down using Fannie Mae. Column 2 is using 10% down with a jumbo investor. Now I'm going to be a little out of the box here. Option 3 is going to be a 15% down. I know you said maybe you can get a little bit of a gift or something, or a short 401k loan. But look at the 4th column. If you actually can put X amount down on at time of closing, which would be representative of column 3, then you can actually take a second mortgage out immediately after closing column 4, and that's actually what your final payment's going to be. So if you think of Mortgage Coach helping you tell a story, that became much easier for people to figure out what to show, because it's kind of like you're on stage, you're presenting, you're showing your value. And then you're going to do the video and say those same things. They'll feel your energy when they see the video. So no, I think the team can play a massive role if the leader gives very crystal clear direction. Perfect.
Well, John, I mean, that's excellent. You gave us a lot of good information about how Fulton can implement as a team. We really appreciate the time that you've shared with us, and we're very grateful for you. So thanks so much.
Yeah, no worries. Good luck. See you guys. See
All
Pat.
right.
Bye, David.
Thanks. All right, bye-bye. All right, guys. Well, our goal with this particular call was to give you an opportunity to hear, rather than just us, you've got somebody, like I said, right there in the trenches with you. And he shared a story about how it took him a while to adopt it, how it took him, I think he said 3 times before he finally implemented Mortgage Coach. So for those of you that are struggling, you're in a different situation because he was doing it on his own. He had I believe it was an individual membership at some of those different points. You're part of an enterprise relationship. You have a lot of resources to help you and make that adoption a lot more quick for you, so that you can start getting the benefit of using Mortgage Coach. So as your customer success manager here, if there's anything that I could do, I've said this many times, please reach out to me, Brian@mortgagecoach.com. More than happy to help you get going with Mortgage Coach, serve more families, and close more loans. That's it, guys. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a great week.